So Gears 1 shipped with kind of a handful of multiplayer modes, and in Gears 2 we're really upping the ante by shipping with many, many more. First off, we have this mode called Wingman, which is one of my personal favorites. It's basically 5 teams of 2 players, so it's kind of a mix of a free-for-all with a co-op versus experience. Then we have Guardian, which is essentially Assassination 2.0, in which each team has a leader, and if you take out the leader, the other team can no longer respawn. So that's the goal, is to basically, get rid of all the enemy forces. And then we have Submission, which was previously codenamed Meat Flag, in which there's a stranded character that's running around the map. It's essentially kind of like a one flag, capture the flag game type. Knock them down, take them hostage, drag them to another point, and win the round. And all of these modes coming together add up to kind of a very, very fun and tremendous multiplayer package. The first Gears was 4-on-4 for the multiplayer. We wanted to keep it small scale, we wanted to keep it intimate, and we decided to bump that up a little bit with Gears 2 to go to 5-on-5. 5 just seems like a good kind of number as far as, your average clan out there is about 5 people. We didn't really want to go to 6-on-6, 7-on-7, or even larger than that, because we believe that more can be better depending on the kind of game you're doing. If you're doing, for instance, a very large scale vehicular territory control type game type, that's cool. Gears isn't that game. Gears is more about getting in close, chainsawing somebody, performing an execution move, people crawling, trying to get away, taking cover. It's much more about that intimate violence, face-to-face experience where you're shooting characters that are very large and visible and not pixels on the horizon. If you look at the new executions we have in the game, there's one literally where Marcus kicks a Locust over and punches him in the face. It's almost like, mixed martial arts type moves that are kind of getting involved in a shooter. The various different ways that you can use the chainsaw for chainsaw duels, chainsawing people from behind, tagging grenades on walls and creating traps. It's very much about this in-your-face type action. My favorite execution is probably the neck snap. When you're carrying somebody as a hostage, you just go, pop goes the weasel. Gears 1 had a very, very cool and very tight control scheme, but upon shipping the game, we knew that we could do a lot better. We have literally 400 plus different tweaks to the cover system, to the responsiveness of the game, the angle that the player's facing when he enters cover. We do a lot of code to figure out what the proper way is for him to face, how long it takes for him to pop up from cover, the preferred angle of blind fire, how you get into cover when you roadie run. We made it so the players don't accidentally slam into the wall like they did in Gears 1 when they roadie run. You can interrupt a SWAT turn. I mean, there's so many different tweaks that really add up to what I believe is the definitive cover-based shooter on the market. In the first Gears, we had the Hammer Burst, which is kind of a burst rifle, and it was a good weapon, but we felt like we could really kind of take that to the next level. So we reduxed the design of the weapon to make it look a lot more like a traditional gun. We added a little bit of a scoping ability. We made the gun also fully automatic, but a slightly slower firing rate, and also added the ability for players to hit fire to fan the shots at the trade-off of having a far more significant kick. We also added in a burst pistol, which is a very heavy Locust pistol called the Gorgon. And this is incredibly useful if you take somebody as a Meat Flag hostage and you carry them around, and then you have this pistol and you can essentially take out enemies in 2 bursts while you have this defensive shield that protects you for a while. We also have a metal shield that you can carry around, which you get off of a large boomer class. You can use that planted in the ground, and your enemies can actually kick it over as a defensive mechanism. We have a flamethrower, which is called the Scorcher. If you do a perfect active reload, the shot will actually go further and burn your enemies, and everybody's running around screaming, and it's very entertaining. Basically, the Locusts are back, and they have all sorts of interesting new ways to make life very difficult for the COG and the various gears. One of the cool new enemies is a Scorch Drone, and he's a Locust that has a new helmet and a flame backpack, and he wields the Scorcher. And when he starts coming at you, you can see him from basically a mile away. And if you can get a shot on him, you can essentially blow up his backpack, and 2 or 3 bullets, and the flames will start shooting out of it, and eventually he will pop and take out any enemies that are adjacent to him, which is tremendously fun. So a lot of players playing Gears 1 had concern about host advantage, since Gears is a client-server architecture, not a peer-to-peer architecture. Our solution to this is optimize, 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 and basically get players to the point where the host has very little advantage to none at all, so the players can't even tell who's the host when they're playing an online game. Part of that's the beauty of a party system, players all getting together and players just kind of joining up and having a better netcode and just polishing the hell out of the experience and making sure it shines. The Gears of War 2 is coming out this November when it gets a little bit chilly, so get ready.